Hello my loves and welcome to my YouTube channel. My name is Nina and in today's video we'll explore budget-friendly ways to start incorporating vintage pieces into your style. If there's one journey that will make you feel like you're not going forward, it's collecting vintage clothes. Before you start this process, you have to investigate a lot, you have to figure out the style that you want, and when you know exactly what you need, you can't just go to the store and get it. Before you do that, you have to figure out where to search, what pieces work for you, and how much you can pay, while you also have to prioritize whatever is essential for you to start transitioning into the style you want. This is everything I needed as advice while transitioning into my vintage style. So when I started this process, I wanted to go for a 60s and 70s style, but I had just moved from a different country, so I didn't have any family or friends around me. I also came from a tropical country, so I didn't know how to dress for the different seasons, and I didn't have any winter clothes at all, no sweaters or coats or anything related to rain, cold, anything like that. I also didn't have any money. My budget was quite tight because I was living in a different place. I was paying for rent, I was paying for college, I was transitioning into adulthood, so buying clothes seemed like a luxury. And I also didn't know where to search, not only because geographically I was in a different space in general, but also because I was entering this vintage world and I didn't know how to thrift, where to search for the clothing. So in this video, we're going to talk about multiple things that you can do when you're starting out. Hopefully this video is going to be helpful. I made it because I wish I had heard all of these things in one video when I was first starting this process. And the first thing that I can say is that if you really want to do this, you'll find a way to get there, and hopefully these tips are going to be helpful for just that, for making it as soon as possible. It does take time, but you'll get there. So let's start with the advice. So the first tip comes with hair. Doing something simple with your hair can make your style look vintage in no time, and you might only need a haircut, bobby pins, hair rollers, maybe a new hairbrush or a blow dryer, and in some cases hairspray. But you only have to make a little investment of money. You do have to make an investment when it comes to the time that you involve in doing these hairstyles or setting your hair, but it's worth it because you want to look amazing every single day. You're interested in that, and it's going to make a huge difference. When you're just wearing jeans and a t-shirt, having your hair look a certain way is going to change the vibe completely. When it comes to makeup, you don't need 1,000 products to achieve something for wearing every day. In my case, I use black, brown, and white eyeliner, a basic eye color palette, 2 shades of lipstick, and I decide on which one I like depending on my mood, and mascara. Maybe something else, but that's my basic everyday makeup. If you go to the store and buy all of those things at once, it might seem like a reasonable amount of money, but it's worth the investment because those products are going to last you for a long time. The other thing you need to do is to play around with it, especially when you have nowhere to go and you're bored. Do not experiment with makeup if you have anywhere to be at a certain hour, because it might not turn out as good as you envisioned it, and you will have to walk out the door with either no makeup or just not comfortable with what you did. This goes with any type of makeup. Maybe you choose the 40s and the makeup is pretty simple for that era, but you decided to wear the red lipstick and then you don't necessarily feel comfortable wearing that, and you have to kind of get used to it. So do it at home when you have nowhere to go to, put it on, see how you look, make yourself comfortable, and then whenever you feel like it's your thing, then you can go out. Same thing with my 60s makeup. I started doing the twiggy lashes and I did them over and over, and then when I was about to go out, I was never happy with it. I felt awful the entire night. So don't do it when you're going out. Do it for having fun at home, for practicing, and when you have achieved it, when you know exactly how it's supposed to go, then you can start using it for like every day, or like turning something different to create a different look. But start simple and start at home, then you can take it outside. So accessories are of great help when it comes to styling something in order for it to look vintage. I would say like the 4 accessories that you might need are scarves, belts, earrings, and pantyhose, depending on the decades that you go for. You can buy scarves in multiple colors or patterns in any like thrift store, garage sale, or like the Salvation Army. Anywhere you go, you will find these accessories. And for example, with a scarf, you can use it around your neck, around your thighs, around your hips. You can use it as a headband. You can even put it in your purse as decoration, and it will set something different and it will attract people to that specific thing. You might be wearing something super simple, like just a t-shirt and jeans again, but by adding that, you make it look like vintage. So it's kind of magic. Same thing with belts, depending on the decade that you choose. If you go for the 50s, then you might probably want like a thicker belt that goes to your waist. If not, if you go for the 60s and 70s, round buckles or just anything that goes on your hips. But a belt can make the whole difference on an outfit. You'll see that it just changes something about what you're wearing that makes it look a lot more interesting. Same thing for earrings. Whatever decade you choose, investigate the earrings that people would wear in that era, and you can search for those. Those are also pretty cheap in the thrift stores or the Salvation Army, and they can go in multiple colors. So anything that you wear that is super simple will look different when you put an accessory like that. Last but not least, buying different colored pantyhose can make a difference. You can start with just like a black pair of pantyhose. Maybe it's white, maybe it's skin colored, maybe it's like the one from the 40s that has the line on the back. So anything that you choose when it comes to pantyhose can make the difference with the outfit. These items are particularly versatile, so next time you walk through a thrift store, make sure to stop by all those sections and see what you can find. So the next tip is to play around with what you own. And I'm with you on that. I barely had anything to play around with. As I said, I just had like one big suitcase where I just got everything that I used the most. So, you know, it was a perfect occasion to start changing my style because I didn't have a lot of clothes and or shoes or like anything at all. But at the same time, I couldn't really play with anything. I felt like I had nothing. And it was pretty frustrating when I first started like investigating, because I was like, oh no, I'm never going to get out of like jeans and a shirt. So, you know, what I did found out with this is that you do build a certain style over the years. So going through my things, what I found out is that I really like the color red, for example, because I had it on multiple pieces. It was like sweaters, shirts, like a lot of things were red or like in a red tone. So, you know, I could play around with that color. I knew I liked it. I knew I liked green, for example, because I know it suits my skin color. Just mixing those things together or figuring out that I liked those colors made a difference when it came to like searching for other things. So I would say definitely like check what you have to see what you like, at least. If it's not to figure out what you can use to like create a vintage style, maybe you can find out what you like, the colors that get repeated the most, or if you like patterns or not. But overall, just check whatever you have. Another important thing is that if for now your budget can only go as far as to buy a couple of graphic tees from the band that you like or something that makes you passionate, then do that and start building your wardrobe on the side. Confidence goes a long way. And while you're doing that, you'll get people stop you on the street and start engaging in more conversations with strangers that like the same things as you. So, you know, there are some decades in which that's easier to do. Like if you go for the 90s or the 70s or 80s, maybe that's easier because you'll find a lot of like graphic tees and those go with the decades. But maybe if you go for the 60s or the 50s, that's not necessarily the case, and it will be more difficult. But you know, you could start with like the basic, the things that make you passionate, and then you know, you start getting like more skirts, more dresses, more like period specific items. But you know, you're doing something to change your vibe in like an instant, and then you start collecting the other things. So the next tip is to seek out for vintage items from family and friends. Share with everyone that you are seeking to change your style into a specific decade. You never know who will want to let go of something that is just gathering dust in the closet. You could get hand-ups from people you never imagined still keep like an 80s blouse or a 40s dress, or you know, a pair of earrings, whatever it is. Those people are not wearing it, they don't have anyone around them that wants those things. So you know, you could be that person, and it will also have that nice story behind how you got that piece. In my case, as I said in the beginning, I didn't have any friends or family around me, so I didn't get this process. But what I did find while doing this is that when I shared my story with the like elderly women who I had found on Facebook Marketplace and who I was buying like 2 skirts from, and I would tell them I am trying to wear more like 60s type of clothes, they would always like gift me something else for free just because they are so happy and inspired with what I'm doing. So make sure to tell people and to be like super open with what you're trying to do. Next thing is to make only one piece an investment. When you start buying vintage clothes, you will find a lot of inexpensive pieces, but you will find others that are quite expensive in comparison, either because they are valuable, hard to find, or just because they're in really good condition. If you ever come across one of those pieces, don't just dismiss them because they're expensive. In that case, study the piece, seek out for the tag, and analyze if it's worth the investment. So let's say your budget is $50, and with those $50 you can buy, for example, 10 dresses or 5 dresses. But that same day you found a coat or maybe a pair of boots that are like this specific decade and that are marked at $50. So in that case, decide if it's worth the investment to, you know, go for like one expensive item, or just go for like the other amount of things that you can get with that budget. In this case, maybe you will not be able to buy anything else for the rest of the month, but at least you're going to get like a specific item that will probably be the star of the outfit. If it's a coat, then you know, when it's winter, if you have it on and it's really like quite specific to one decade, then it's a great investment to make because you will have that on top of everything that you wear under. Same thing with boots or like a purse or something that it's a little more on the pricier side, but it will help you on the long run to keep like something looking a little more like vintage style. Modern clothes can work as well. Don't dismiss thrift stores that only seem to sell modern clothes, as you may find a lot of good items in there. So when it comes to the 60s, one basic item that you need is a turtleneck. But it's not just like a white or black turtleneck. You need like a blue one or a red one, a green one, like you need all the colors so that you can wear them with different things and create a different vibe. In that case, if you wait for like the different colors of turtlenecks to appear on thrift stores, you might be taking a lot of time to actually build something that you can create by just going to a modern store and getting that. I would highly suggest to get like most basics that you need at first on the modern store, so don't just dismiss them because they might have something that will work for you, that is in good condition and that is not as pricey as you would find it in the actual like original store. Get daily inspiration. Of course, this is important. Start following accounts on social media that share pictures on that specific decade that you like, because you might find a lot of interesting pictures or like daily life type of photographs where you will see people wearing like normal things, and maybe you will find at some point that you have something that is exactly the same or something that looks really similar to what you're seeing, make it something fun that you do every day, to go through pictures and see what was being used in the 50s, the 40s, the 80s, whatever it is. Just go through those and have fun while you do it. So the next tip is to start training your algorithm. I don't live in Etsy or Depop territory, so it was really hard to find what to buy. All the videos that you watch that talk about like any advice they suggest going into Depop, going into Etsy, even sometimes going into Amazon. And here where I live, it's not necessarily super easy to get those things. So I had to just find a different way to get there. And for anyone who's wondering, if you do want to get clothes from the internet and you're not living in the US or Europe, you might want to go to the beautiful world of Facebook Marketplace. When I went into Google for the first time and I searched for the terms like 60s, 70s, retro clothes, all those things, I would only get like the most terrible clothes, like modern recreations that have nothing to do with the decades. Sometimes I would get like actual modern recreations that are amazing but are also super pricey and on other countries, so it was about considering if I wanted to pay more than $100 and also have it delivered to where I live. So it was not on my budget to do that. It's still not in my budget to get things outside of Argentina, which is where I live. So my solution to that problem was, other than going out and getting things on actual thrift stores, to go to Facebook Marketplace and search for those things in there. Facebook Marketplace, it's just a video on its own, but two important things that I would say from buying clothes online and specifically in this platform is to first not search for like 60s or 70s, because most people who sell clothes in there, they don't know what they're selling, so they just put like dress vintage or like coat vintage or retro. Those types of like general words will make a difference. They will also take more time from you because you will have to scroll down to seek for the specific item. If you do find people who are selling clothes that are marked from the specific decade, like a 50s dress or like a 70s sunglasses, then those people do know what they're selling and those will be a lot pricier. So start with like general terms first. The second thing, and this is the most important part, if you do like watching clothes and you want to like start collecting more, then make it a hobby to go to Facebook Marketplace and search for those terms, like vintage coat, vintage sunglasses, vintage something, retro socks, whatever it is you want to search for, and just scroll down and check whatever it is there every single day, because at some point this platform, in this case Facebook, will understand that you are this segmented audience that likes antiques, that likes vintage things, vintage clothes, or just clothes in general. So at some point where like a charity shop or maybe a thrift store or someone out there in the world wants to pay for promotion, your algorithm will be trained enough so that you'll find a lot more items in the long run. Last but not least, enjoy the ride. Believe me, it takes time, but you wouldn't want it any other way. If someone came tomorrow and gave you like a hat, a dress, a coat, stockings, and a pair of shoes to dress into like the specific decade that you want, you would either have to wear that same outfit every single day or just keep it in your closet until you find more things to put that whole outfit with. So enjoy the process of getting different things. Anything that you get will mean the world to you and will educate you on how to find more things. So take it as experience. Make sure to enjoy whatever the process is for you, and believe me, you'll get there. These are all the tips that I have for today. Thank you so much for being here. If you have any other advice, I would love to read it in the comments. And if you like this video, don't forget to subscribe, and I'll see you next time. Bye!
But they sure got some cuties incorrect.